Hello, friends. Today, I want to take you on a journey that began almost 5,000 years ago on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It is the sacred conversation that taught all of humanity the very art of living, the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Today, we will understand the essence of the first 3 chapters of the Gita. But we won't just understand them. Along the way, I'll also share with you some beautiful stories so that these deep truths settle gently into your heart. And together, we'll listen to some of the Gita's most precious verses and understand their simple meaning, too. The first chapter introduces us to Arjuna's grief and despair, that moment when even a great warrior loses his courage. The second chapter pours into us the nectar of the immortal soul, of equanimity, and of selfless action. And the third chapter shows us the path of nishkam karma, of doing our duty fully without clinging to its fruits. You see, the wisdom of the Gita does not belong to just one age or one faith. It belongs to every human being who has ever felt afraid or tired or lost in the tangles of life. And believe me, within these 3 chapters lies almost the entire art of living well. Think of these 3 chapters as a single, complete answer to the hardest question a human being can ask. When life overwhelms me, how do I find the strength to stand up and act without being crushed by fear, without becoming a slave to my own cravings, and without losing my inner peace? Chapter by chapter, verse by verse, Krishna answers exactly that question. So come, sit comfortably, take a slow, deep breath, and let us begin this sacred journey. Imagine the vast battlefield of Kurukshetra. On one side, the army of the Pandavas. On the other, the army of the Kauravas. Millions of warriors, elephants, horses, and chariots, all ready for war. And then the conches sounded. Lord Krishna blew his conch, the Panchajanya. Arjuna blew his, the Devadatta. The echo of those conches made the earth and sky tremble. Then Arjuna said to his charioteer, Lord Krishna, "O Krishna, please draw my chariot to the middle of the 2 armies, so that I may see those with whom I must fight." Krishna drew the chariot right to the center. And then, what Arjuna saw shook his very heart. Standing before him were not strangers. There stood his grandfather Bhishma, his teacher Dronacharya, his uncles, his cousins, his sons, his dear friends, his own people on both sides. Seeing this, Arjuna was overwhelmed with compassion and attachment. His body began to tremble, his mouth went dry. The Gita describes this moment so beautifully. Arjuna says, "My limbs are failing, my mouth is drying up, my whole body is trembling, and my hair is standing on end." Arjuna began to speak. What joy could I possibly find in killing my own people? I want no victory, no kingdom, no pleasures. It would be better to live by begging, or to let them strike me down unarmed. His voice choked. He went on, "O Krishna, when a family is destroyed, its ancient values are destroyed. And when values die, chaos spreads through all of society. How could we ever be happy after committing such a terrible sin? Alas, that out of greed for a little kingly pleasure, we stand ready to spill the blood of our own kin." And saying this, overcome with sorrow, he set aside his bow and arrows. The very warrior whose bowstring made great heroes tremble now sank down into his chariot, shaking like a frightened child. You see, Arjuna's despair is not merely the story of one warrior. it is the story of us all. When duty becomes difficult, when attachment grips us, when the choice between right and wrong feels impossible to make, that is when all of us, like Arjuna, lose heart and sit down in defeat. Our own Gandiva, that is, our courage, begins to slip from our hands. The first chapter teaches us this, that attachment and despair can shake even the greatest of human beings away from their duty. But remember, it is from here, from this very darkness, that the journey toward the light of wisdom begins. Because until a question rises in the mind, the true answer never comes. And honestly, in every one of our lives, a Kurukshetra arrives at least once, some hard decision, some turning point, where attachment and fear stop us from moving forward. For one person, it is a decision about their career. For another, whether to hold on to a relationship or let it go. In each such moment, we too must listen to the Krishna within us, the voice of our own wisdom. So come, let us now sit with Arjuna and listen to that timeless voice. And notice something tender here. Krishna does not scold Arjuna for feeling broken. He lets him speak. He lets him pour out every doubt and every fear. Because the Gita never asks us to pretend we are strong when we are not. It simply asks us, once we have felt our pain honestly, to rise and to act with a steady heart. So whatever your own battlefield is today, know this, it is perfectly human to tremble at its edge. What truly matters is what you choose to do next.
When Arjuna sank down in sorrow, Krishna spoke with great love, yet with firmness. O Arjuna, from where has this weakness come to you in this hour of crisis? It does not suit a brave man like you. Rise, cast off this petty faint-heartedness. He said, O Partha, do not yield to this cowardice. It does not befit you. O conqueror of foes, cast off this petty weakness of heart and stand up. Now Arjuna set aside his ego. He folded his hands and said, O Krishna, I am confused. I cannot see my duty clearly. I take refuge in you. I am your disciple. Please show me the way. And it is from here that the immortal teaching of the Gita begins. Krishna said, You grieve for those who should not be grieved for, and yet you speak words of wisdom. But the truly wise grieve neither for the living nor for the dead. Then he explained the deep secret of the soul. He said, Just as the soul passes in this body through childhood, youth, and old age, so too it passes into another body after death. The wise are not deluded by this. And then that immortal image, which perhaps you too have heard. Just as a person casts off worn-out clothes and puts on new ones, so the soul casts off a worn-out body and enters a new one. And the Gita speaks another deep truth. That which is unreal has no true existence and never lasts. And that which is real never ceases to be. This body is the thing that changes and fades, but the soul that dwells within it is real and eternal. Pause on this, because it changes everything. If you are not merely this body, if you are the deathless awareness within it, then the very thing we fear most, death, is only a change of garments for the soul. This does not make us cold toward loss. Grief is natural, and love is real. But beneath the grief, the Gita places a rock we can stand upon, that nothing which is truly you can ever be destroyed. You see,
This knowledge pulls out our greatest fear by the root, the fear of death. But to feel this truth, let me tell you a very moving story. Long ago, a woman's only little son suddenly passed away. The woman went mad with grief. Carrying her dead child in her arms, she wandered from village to village, pleading with everyone, "Bring my child back to life. Give me some medicine, someone." People thought she had lost her mind and laughed at her. At last, someone sent her to a wise sage. The sage listened quietly to her pain and said, "My child, I will help you. But for that, you must bring me just one thing, a handful of mustard seeds. There is only one condition. You must bring them from a home where no one has ever died." The woman ran off joyfully. She went to the first house and asked for mustard seeds. The people said, "Take the seeds, of course, but in our home, our elder passed away only last year." She went to a second house. There, someone's mother was gone. A third, a husband. A fourth, a child. She wandered from house to house, but she could not find a single home where death had never knocked. In every house, someone had lost someone they loved. Slowly, a deep truth began to sink into her heart. Death spares no one. It is the unchanging law of this world. Whoever is born will one day surely go. Her grief was still there, but her madness grew quiet. She returned to the sage, this time empty-handed, but with a peaceful mind. She bid her child farewell and accepted this truth of life. This is exactly what the Gita says. For one who is born, death is certain, and for one who has died, birth is certain. Therefore, you should not grieve over what cannot be avoided. Then Krishna said something very beautiful about pleasure and pain. O son of Kunti, it is the contact of the senses with their objects that gives cold and heat, pleasure and pain. But these come and go. They are impermanent. So learn to endure them with patience.
Let me explain this with another lovely story. A king was always restless, one moment overjoyed, the next deeply miserable. One day, a wise fakir gave him a ring and said, "Inside it is hidden a small note. Open it only when you feel there is no way out at all." Sometime later, the king lost a war. His enemies were chasing him, and as he fled, he reached the edge of a deep cliff. No way forward, no way back. Then he remembered the ring. He opened the note. On it was written, "This too shall pass." As he read it, all the fear in his mind grew still. A little while later, the enemy horsemen turned down another path, and the king was saved. Sometime after that, he won back his kingdom, and in the middle of his victory celebration, his mind began to swell with pride. Then he read that same note again. "This too shall pass." And in an instant, all his pride grew quiet. You see, neither sorrow lasts forever, nor joy. That is why Krishna gave this immortal formula of equanimity, which says, treating pleasure and pain, gain and loss, victory and defeat, all alike, then engage in your duty. Acting in this spirit, you will incur no sin. This very equanimity, this evenness of mind, is true yoga. Sit with that for a moment. So much of our suffering does not come from our circumstances at all. It comes from how violently our mind swings between them. We soar too high when things go well, and we sink too low when they don't. Equanimity does not mean we stop feeling. It means we stop being tossed about like a leaf in the wind. We feel the joy, we feel the sorrow,
And yet underneath it all, something in us stays still and steady and at peace. Then, Krishna reminded Arjuna of his duty. He said that for a warrior, there is nothing more noble than a righteous fight. And then he said something beautiful. If you fall while doing your duty, you will attain heaven. And if you win, you will enjoy the earth. Therefore, O son of Kunti, rise up with firm resolve. In other words, do not run from your duty. Face it head on. That is what is noblest. And now comes the most famous verse of the Gita, one the whole world knows today. O Arjuna, you have a right to your actions alone, never to their fruits. So do not act for the sake of the reward, and do not be attached to inaction either. You see, this is the root of more than half of our worries. We are not afraid of the work. We are afraid of the outcome. What if I fail? Krishna says, put your full attention on your action, which is in your hands, and leave the result to that higher power. The day you learn this, half the weight will lift from your shoulders on its own. Think about it. When you go to sit for an exam or an interview, if you tell yourself, my job is to prepare with complete honesty and effort, the result was never in my hands anyway. In that very instant, half your anxiety will disappear. And the beautiful part is that staying calm, you will actually do better. That is the magic of selfless action. And here is the deeper freedom hidden in this teaching. When you stop chasing the result, you also stop living in a future that has not yet arrived. You come back to this present moment, the only place where life is actually lived, and the only place where good work is actually done. The result will come in its own time, shaped by 1,000 things beyond your control. But the effort, the honesty, the sincerity, the love you pour into your work, that is entirely yours to give. Krishna says, established in yoga, letting go of attachment, remaining the same in success and failure, do your work. This evenness of mind is called yoga. And listen, skill in action is yoga. Krishna also gives this reassurance that on this path of selfless action, no effort is ever wasted. He says, on this path, no effort is ever lost, and no harm is ever done. Even a little practice of this dharma saves one from great fear. What great comfort this is, that your every small effort, your every small good deed is never in vain. But for all of this, one thing is essential: concentration, a mind fixed on a single goal. Krishna says that the one with a steady mind keeps his intellect fixed in one place, while the one with a wavering mind has an intellect scattered in countless directions. Let me explain this concentration with a beautiful story. And this story too comes from the Mahabharata itself. The teacher Dronacharya was training his students, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, in archery. One day, he decided to test them. He had a wooden bird placed on the branch of a tree and called all his students. He first asked Yudhishthira to fix an arrow to his bow and asked, Arjuna, what do you see? Yudhishthira said, Meister, I can see this tree, its branches, the leaves, the sky, and the bird as well. Dronacharya stopped him and asked the same of the other students. One saw the tree, one saw the garden, one saw the sky. Then he called Arjuna. He asked him to draw his bow and asked, Arjuna, what do you see? Arjuna said, Meister, I can see only the eye of the bird. Dronacharya asked, "Do you not see the tree, the branches, the bird's body?" Arjuna said, "No, Master. I can see only and only the eye of the bird, and nothing else." Dronacharya smiled and said, "Release." Arjuna's arrow flew straight into the bird's eye.
You see, this is concentration. When your whole attention rests only on your goal, only on your action, with no worry about yesterday and no fear about tomorrow, then success becomes certain. A scattered mind achieves nothing. A focused mind makes even the impossible possible. Then Arjuna asked a beautiful question. "O Krishna, what are the marks of one whose wisdom is steady, the stita prajna?" Krishna said, "One who gives up all the desires of the mind and is content within his own self, he is the one of steady wisdom. One who is not shaken in sorrow, does not crave in pleasure, and is free from attachment, fear, and anger. He is the sage of steady mind. And just as a tortoise draws in its limbs, so the one who draws his senses in from their objects, his wisdom becomes steady." Krishna says that the one whose mind runs after the senses has his intellect swept away, just as a strong wind sweeps away a small boat floating on water. So mastering your senses and your mind is the very first step towards steady wisdom. Then Krishna described the ladder of downfall, which every human being should remember. By constantly dwelling on the objects of the senses, attachment to them is born. From attachment comes desire, and from unfulfilled desire, anger is born. From anger comes delusion. From delusion, the loss of memory, that is, the loss of right judgment. From that loss, the intellect is destroyed. And when the intellect is destroyed, a person is ruined completely. You see how one small wrong thought, step by step, drags a human being all the way to total ruin. This is why mastery over your thoughts and your senses is so important. And notice how gentle and how practical this warning really is. Krishna is not asking you to have no thoughts at all. That is impossible. He is simply asking you to watch the very first spark while it is still small. Catch the thought before it hardens into a craving, and the craving before it flares into anger, and you save yourself from the entire long fall. This is the quiet, daily work of a wise life. Not one dramatic battle, but a soft, patient watchfulness over your own mind. And finally, that beautiful wisdom from the second chapter. Krishna says, just as the rivers flow into the ocean, and yet the ocean remains full and undisturbed within its own bounds, so the one into whom all desires flow, yet who remains unshaken, attains supreme peace. And Krishna gives one more wonderful remark. That knowledge of the soul, which is like night to ordinary people, in that the self-controlled one stays awake, and those sense pleasures in which everyone else stays awake, for the wise, these are like night. His mind shines not from the glitter outside, but from the light within. And at the end, he says, the one who gives up all desires and lives free of longing, without mine and without ego, he attains true peace. Krishna says, this is the state of Brahman. Attaining it, a person is never again lost in delusion. Having heard the knowledge of the second chapter, a doubt arose in Arjuna's mind. He asked, "O Krishna, if you consider knowledge superior to action, then why are you urging me into this terrible action of war? Please tell me clearly,
which is the one path. Krishna said something very deep. He said, "No one can remain even for a moment without performing action. The qualities born of nature compel everyone to act. Even breathing is action. Even thinking is action. So running away from action is impossible." And there is a strange comfort in this. Since you cannot escape action anyway, the question is never really, should I act or not? The question is only, in what spirit will I act? You are going to be busy either way, so you might as well let your work become a form of worship and your duty become a kind of prayer. But Krishna also gives an important warning. The one who outwardly restrains his senses but inwardly keeps dwelling on the objects of the senses, he is a hypocrite, a pretender. So it is not the mere show of renunciation, but acting with a truly detached mind, that is real yoga. Therefore, Krishna says, do your prescribed duty, for action is better than inaction. But the question is, in what spirit should we act? Krishna says, perform every action in the spirit of yajna, that is, in the spirit of sacrifice and service. The very law of this world is one of give and take. The Gita explains this cycle of giving so beautifully. All beings come from food. Food comes from rain. Rain comes from sacrifice, and sacrifice is born of action. In other words, this whole creation runs on giving to one another, on cooperating with one another. And the one who takes no part in this cycle, who lives only for himself, Krishna says he lives in vain. The true human being is the one who knows how to give. Let me explain this with a very lovely story. Once, a man asked a sage, "Master, what is the difference between heaven and hell?" The sage smiled and said, "Come, let me show you both." First, he took him to hell. There, on a great table, sat a huge pot filled with delicious food. People were seated all around it, yet all of them were hungry, weak, and miserable. Why? Because a very long spoon was tied to each person's hand, so long that they could scoop up the food, but could never bring it to their own mouths. The food was right in front of them, and still they writhed with hunger. Then, the sage took him to heaven. There too was the very same table, the very same food, and the very same long spoons tied to everyone's hands. But here, all the people were happy, well-fed, laughing and talking. The man asked in astonishment, "Everything here is exactly the same, so why are these people so happy?" The sage said, "Look closely. Here, no one is trying to feed himself with his long spoon. Here, everyone is using his long spoon to feed the person sitting across from him. That is why no one here goes hungry." You see, heaven and hell are not somewhere outside. They live within our own hearts. Those who live only for themselves stay empty, even when they are full. And those who know how to give, how to serve others, stay content and joyful, even with little. This is the true meaning of yajna, of selfless service. And this is not only a truth about some other world, it is something you can test in your own life, today. Notice how you feel on the days when you live only for yourself, chasing only your own comfort. And then notice how you feel on the day you quietly help someone, expecting nothing in return. How light your own heart suddenly becomes. The Gita is whispering a simple secret to you. The surest way to fill your own life is to pour a little of it into someone else's. Then Krishna gives the essence of selfless action. He said, "Therefore, without attachment, always perform your duty, for the one who acts without attachment attains the supreme. This does not mean at all that you should become lazy or stop working hard. It means do your work with full dedication, but do not stay tormented day and night about its results. The action is yours. The fruit is his. Then, Krishna spoke that great teaching about leadership and setting an example. He said, "Whatever a great person does, ordinary people follow. Whatever standard he sets, the whole world walks behind it." Here, Krishna gave the example of King Janaka, that Janaka, a great king, had attained the highest perfection through action itself. So let us listen to a beautiful story about King Janaka, one that unlocks the true secret of the yoga of action. King Janaka was a great king, but also a realized soul. He ran his kingdom, and yet inwardly he remained completely calm and unattached. But some people in his court could not believe this. They thought, how can anyone who enjoys such a vast kingdom possibly be a true yogi? One day, a wise man decided to test King Janaka. He placed in the king's hands a bowl brimming with oil and said, "O king, you must walk all through the city carrying this bowl. Today there is a great festival everywhere, dancing, music, all kinds of spectacles. But there is one condition. Not a single drop of oil must spill from this bowl. And if even one drop falls, the soldiers walking behind you will cut off your head at once." King Janaka took the bowl and began his journey through the city. All around was celebration. Here dancers were dancing. There music was playing. Somewhere sweets were being handed out. But King Janaka's entire attention was on that bowl of oil. Slowly, with complete alertness, he kept walking. He went all through the city and returned, and not a single drop of oil had spilled. Then the wise man asked, "O king, there was such a grand festival in the city today. Tell me, what all did you see? Which dance was the most beautiful?" King Janaka said calmly, "Forgive me, but I saw nothing at all. No dance, no music, no spectacle. My entire attention was only on this bowl of oil, for my very life rested upon it." The wise man smiled and said, "O king, now I understand how you can be a yogi even while ruling a kingdom. Just as today you kept your full attention on this bowl while walking through the whole city, so you keep your attention fixed on the divine while performing all the actions of the world. You live in the world, but the world does not live in you." You see, this is the essence of the yoga of action. You do not have to abandon the world and run to a forest. You have to live in the world, perform all your duties, and yet remain calm and unattached within, like the lotus leaf, which lives in the water and yet is never wetted by it. This is such a freeing teaching. It means you do not have to choose between a full life and a peaceful one. You can raise your family, do your job, meet all your responsibilities, and still keep a quiet, unshaken center within you, as long as you remember where your true anchor lies. Live in the world with all your heart. Just don't let the world become the only thing that lives in you. Then Krishna lifted the veil of the ego. He said, "In truth, all actions are being carried out by the qualities of nature, but the one deluded by ego thinks, 'I am the doer.' The one who understands this truth does not become attached to his actions and remains ever at peace." And then that famous verse on one's own dharma: "It is better to do one's own duty imperfectly than to do another's duty perfectly." In other words, rather than imitating others, living according to your own nature and your own duty is what is noblest. Krishna also explains that within every sense, attraction and aversion, liking and disliking, lie hidden by nature. But a wise person must never fall under their control, for these two are the greatest enemies on his path, the ones that lead him astray again and again. Then Arjuna asked a very important question. "Oh Krishna, what is that force which drives a person to sin, even against his own will, as if by compulsion?" Krishna named that root enemy. It is desire. It is anger, born of the quality of rajas. It is all-devouring and greatly sinful. O Arjuna, know this to be your greatest enemy in this world. He explains, just as fire is covered by smoke and a mirror by dust, so a person's knowledge and wisdom are covered by this enemy called desire. This desire is a fire that never goes out. The more you feed it, the more it flares up. Let me help you feel this fire of desire, this never-ending craving, through a very deep story.
In a village lived a farmer who was forever hungry for more land. "If only I had more land, I would become richer." This one thought tormented him day and night. One day, he heard that in a distant village, land was given on a strange condition. He went there. The chief said, "Just give 1,000 gold coins, and from sunrise to sunset, all the land you can walk around on foot will be yours. But there is only one condition. You must return before the sun sets to the very spot from which you began. If you don't, you lose both your coins and the land." The next morning, as the sun rose, the farmer set off. He walked faster and faster, thinking, just a little more land, just a little more. Noon came, but his greed would not stop. He pushed on, farther and farther. When the sun began to set, he realized he had come far, far away from his starting point. Now he had to get back. He began to run back with all his strength to save everything. His breath grew ragged, but he did not stop. At the very last moment, just as the sun was setting, he reached the starting spot, gasping. But the instant he arrived, from exhaustion and his failing breath, he collapsed right there, and his life left him. The people buried him on that very spot. And how much land did he need to be buried? Just 6 feet. That much. You see, this is the truth of kama, of endless desire. Desire is never satisfied. The more you get, the more it grows, and in the end, it pulls a person under. This is why Krishna calls it the greatest enemy. You see, having desires is not wrong in itself. Desires are what move us forward. But when a desire grows from a need into greed and begins to steal away the very peace of our mind, that desire turns into poison. So learn contentment, because the one who has contentment is truly the richest person in this world.
And please hear this clearly, so it never feels like a burden. The Gita is not asking you to have nothing, or to want nothing, or to give up your dreams. It is asking you to notice the difference between a healthy goal that you move toward with a calm heart and a restless hunger that can never, ever be satisfied. One gives your life direction. The other quietly steals your peace, no matter how much you gather. To want is human. To be enslaved by wanting is the trap. So how do we conquer this enemy? Krishna gives a beautiful ladder. He said, the senses are higher than the body. The mind is higher than the senses. The intellect is higher than the mind. And that which is beyond even the intellect, that is your soul. And then he says, thus, knowing the soul to be higher even than the intellect, steady your mind by the strength of your own self and conquer this hard-to-defeat enemy in the form of desire. In other words, do not be a slave to your desires. Be their master. And this will only happen when you recognize your true power, your own soul. And finally, the most beautiful verse of the 3rd chapter, which completes the whole yoga of action. Krishna says, offering all your actions to me, the Supreme, and giving up hope, possessiveness, and ego, free of all fever of the mind, do your duty. In other words, act, but do not carry the burden of your actions on your own head. To surrender everything to the divine and live with a light, peaceful mind, this is the highest state of selfless action. So friends, let us now take this nectar of all 3 chapters and settle it together into our hearts. The 1st chapter taught us that a moment of attachment and despair comes into every human life. When duty becomes difficult, giving up and sitting down in defeat is the greatest weakness of all. The 2nd chapter gave us the knowledge of the immortal soul, that your true self is unborn and undying. Pleasure and pain come and go, so remain in equanimity. And it gave us that immortal formula. Do your work, but let go of any worry about its fruits. It also taught us that concentration, a mind held steady, is the key to success, just like Arjuna and the eye of the bird. And the 3rd chapter showed us the path of action, that running from action is impossible. So perform every action in the spirit of service and sacrifice, like King Janaka, living in the world, yet calm and unattached within. And it warned us that desire and anger are our greatest enemies, and that conquering them by the strength of our own soul is life's greatest victory. And always remember this, the Gita does not teach us to run away from the world. It teaches us to live in the very midst of the world, performing all our duties, and yet to remain calm and fearless within. Do not flee from action, and do not cling to its fruit. Do not be swept away in joy, and do not drown in sorrow. Simply keep doing your work, and with a smile, keep offering everything to the divine. So do not be afraid of the darkness in your own mind. Wise, pick up your Gandiva, recognize your duty. Do your work with full devotion and full focus. Leave the worry of the fruit to that supreme power and keep moving forward, calm, balanced, and centered in equanimity in every circumstance. You do not need to become a monk on a distant mountaintop to live the Gita. You can live it right here, in your home, your work, your relationships. Do your duty with love. Hold success and failure with the same calm hand. Watch your thoughts before they grow into storms. Give a little more than you take. And when the weight of it all begins to feel heavy, gently place it into the hands of something larger than yourself and walk on, lighter and unafraid. Because this is the message of the Gita, and this is the true art of living. This life is a precious gift, and the Gita is the most beautiful key to living it. Keep the lessons of these 3 chapters safe in your heart,
They will become your support in every difficult hour. Take care of yourself. Stay calm, stay happy, and keep smiling. Hare Krishna. Thank you.